There has been a lot of doubt over Frost Mage considering how badly it performed in my last video, but I'm happy to say the second I came back from vacation, I went straight into the Frost Mage kitchen, and after some hours, I've managed to cook something up so strong it's not only viable, but it will give fire a run for its money. The setup actually surprised me, but yeah, Frost is back, baby, so grab a drink and join me as we look at our final Frost builds, gear and rotations for Frost Mage in Season of Discovery Phase 7. First, let's look at Frost Mage pre-best in slot. Frost is a heavily gear dependent spec, so if you're a fresh character and you haven't done ZG or AQ, I suggest watching my recent healing guide, as this spec you can get straight into Nax with only a day or two worth of gearing. Now the talents are very similar to the last phase. We are using Spell Frost Bolt, so we will take improved arcane missiles, which actually benefit Spell Frost Bolt. We'll take arcane concentration and arcane resilience. The rest of the talents will go into the Frost tree, the runes being Deep Freeze, Fingers of Frost, Molten Armor, Ice Lance, Spell Frost Bolt, Icy Veins, Spell Power, Frozen Orb, Frost Specialization and Fire Specialization. Very much similar to what we're used to in Phase 6, so I won't spend too much time here. Now for the gear, we are still using 3 of the ZG set. This is because the set bonus is still very good for us. We don't need the 5 set, as we can get this through the shoulder enchant. So the shoulder enchant will give us that 5 set, increases damage done by your Spell Frost Bolt by 65%. We will keep the Don Rogbito's Lost Hat from AQ, and because of this Time Worn piece, we will also keep the Signet of the Bronze Dragonflight. If you haven't done AQ, like I said, it's going to be a little bit rough. For our Sanctified items, we do have the 3 set here, and we will have the Malefic Belt as well, the Palpa Souls and the Band of Piety. Now, although these are technically healing items, we will take them for the Sanctified mechanic. We also still have the Staff of Rhyme. This is very, very nice. You'll want to keep your ice barrier up so that you keep that 100 damage to frost spells. And yeah, very, very similar to Phase 6, so I don't need to go too much into it. The rotation is exactly the same as it was. If you need a video for the rotation, I suggest you look at my Frost Mage Phase 6 rotation. It's very much the same. Now finally, let's look at the new best Frost spec for Phase 7 in Nax. Straight away, you'll notice we're going back into the fire tree and once again utilizing that Frost Fire Bolt. I know you'll be skeptical about this since the Spell Frost Bolt set is so strong, but trust me with this build will blow your mind. Once you have the best in slot gear, this is the absolute best. Spell Frost Bolt won't even come close. We're taking all the best Frost talents in the Frost tree and going into the Fire tree for Ignite and Burning Soul, simply because Frost Fire Bolt is very, very strong. The runes are very, very similar, but we do have that Frost Fire Bolt. We are going to take Displacement, which I'll explain in a little bit, and then we have the Frost and Fire specialization on the rings. Now looking at the gear, we do have the 6 set, which has a great set bonus, and of course it satisfies our Sanctified requirements. If you don't know what Sanctified is, basically there is a new mechanic item for Nax in Phase 7, which boosts your health and your damage by a certain percent based on your Sanctified items. You can have a maximum of 8 Sanctified items, so you'll always want to look to satisfy those requirements. You'll pick this up in Nax and it can be upgraded once this week, and it will slowly be upgraded throughout the phase. Like it or hate it, we are still using the ZG set for Nax in Phase 7. This set just won't die. We're going to be utilizing the 3 set bonus, which increases the chance to trigger your Fingers of Frost rune by an additional 15%. And surprisingly, for the shoulder enchant, we are going to be using the Soul of the Magic Armorer and be using Ice Armor instead of Molten Armor, which is why we have Displacement, because that rune might bring a little bit of value in the mechanics since we can blink and blink back, etc. And because we're not using Molten Armor at all, we may as well take it. The reason this is so strong is we are utilizing Fingers of Frost with Shatter and Ignite. I know for ages everyone has wanted a spec like this to work. It's always been in the comments since like phase 1. Well, it finally does. This spec is going to be so much fun to play because you'll basically be critting non-stop and Ignite will be constantly on the target. It's absolutely insane. So yeah, the Frostfire head, the ZG neck, the ZG shoulders, the cloak of the Necropolis, the Frostfire robe, the ZG braces, the Atiash is here, or Atiash, whatever you want to call it. But of course, if you can't get this, then just get the Soul Seeker, the Cultist hand wraps from Karazhan Crypts, the Frostfire bolt, the Frostfire leggings, the Frostfire sandals, the Frostfire ring, the Band of the Inevitable, the Restrained Essence of Sephiron. This is a very, very nice trinket and will of course replace our previous trinket. But Mind Quickening Gem is still the best. We are still using it, guys. And finally, Doomfinger for the wand. Now onto the rotation with the new evocation bonus. We'll want to make sure we maintain this buff. So make sure you use pull timers and you'll want to precast a full channel before you pull the boss. From here, you'll want to pop your Frozen Orb, your Mind Quickening Gem, all of your cooldowns and Icy Veins. Then you'll want to start casting your Frostfire Bolt. You'll have tons and tons of Fingers of Frost procs. So at this point, you want to be batching your Ice Lance with your Frostfire Bolt. Now, if you don't know what batching is, basically you'll want to cast Ice Lance at the end, like spam it, at the end of your Frostfire Bolt cast so that they both benefit from the Fingers of Frost proc. You'll always want to do this if you have 2 stacks of Fingers of Frost or if you reach 5 Glaciite stacks. You'll honestly most likely be doing this on 4 Glaciite stacks, but occasionally you will get 5 stacks, which is very, very nice. After your Icy Veins fades, you'll want to use your Cold Snap, pop your Frozen Orb again, and then pop your Icy Veins and start DPSing once again. Following the rotation, as I just explained, the only thing now you need to gauge is how long the fight is going to be and make a choice whether you need to evocate or not. If you do need to evocate, you'll want to do this before your next Frozen Orb or after. Obviously, do not cast evocation whilst your Frozen Orb is up. That would be a complete waste of resources. But yeah, it sounds and looks a little bit more complicated than it actually is, but it's incredibly fun, and in a short fight, you'll be right up there with Fire, competing for the top DPS spot. If you have any questions about the rotation, please just leave them in the comments and I will get back to you as soon as I can. Right now, the fight length is very, very short, but fight length is our only weakness with this spec, and if you start having really, really long fights, then your DPS just drops off a lot faster than other classes, but that's similar for Fire and all other Mage specs, to be honest. Anyway guys, I hope this video was helpful, and if you've made it this far, please consider subscribing if you haven't already, or liking the video. We'll be looking at Fire next in the coming days once we've firmed up a final spec. I need to get into the Fire kitchen to cook it up. But thanks for watching this video guys, and have a lovely day.